All right, I've pressed start and I'm waiting for the stream. And Twitch is showing me an ad for something, and there's YouTube. Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Rachel. Do I usually say that? I don't think I usually say that. I'm really tired is one thing that I am. Oh, wait. I forgot to actually send the tweet. I wrote it, but I did not send it. So, tweet's been sent. Today, we are continuing to work on our what makes a data set successful analysis. Oh, I'm going to have to make this wider really quick to actually edit it. And then I will make it, let me adjust that really quick, make sure that it is centered. There we go. Okay. So we've got an error. That's good. This is about what my being inside my brain has felt like today. So I can feel that. What if I just say edit? Could not request a new notebook. So this is less than good. Let me quickly check. The place and see things if there's a problem. Ooh. I don't remember what it's called anymore. I don't remember what anything's called anymore. No, it doesn't look like anything's up right now, so it could be a problem with this particular notebook, maybe? Let's try it again, see if this helps. Okay, so that's not working. Ryan said, I got the new editor a couple of days ago. I'm not used to it. Yeah, my non-admin account still hasn't gotten the new editor. But I've been working in the new editor for a couple of months now, doing beta testing. Let's try downloading the code and starting a new, just starting a new kernel just so we can work. I want a notebook. Yeah, there's some nice things in the new editor that you might notice. So one thing is that there's this isn't the new editor, but there's a little run drop down, and there you can run all cells above and all cells below the current cell, which is something people have been asking for a while. Another nice thing is that you can move cells, which finally you can move cells, and that's in the edit drop down. You can move a cell that you've selected up or down, which is really nice. It's such a time saver. And now I'm going to upload the notebook that I just downloaded. I've been working in kernels all day and it's been fine. But for some reason today, right now, it is not. And I don't see, I know you guys can't see my screen, can't see the pop-up. Did I not actually download the code from the last notebook? Maybe I didn't. All right, let's try making sure I actually download it. Download it. All right, there it is. And now let's go edit this kernel. Okay, can I, yeah? Oh, interesting. So I tried to drag it. That's not something you can do. Let me just try uploading it instead. Yeah, there we go, much better. Okay, get rid of this doohickey. Ryan says, my problem is I lost the create above and create cell below button. Yeah. Wait, what do you mean lost it? Because there should be like a little, it should be very similar. There should be like a little button for you to click up into the side. It says plus markdown or plus code, I believe. Obviously, I'm not looking at the new editor right now quite yet. So we are jumping in to our analysis, and I'm just redoing all of the things that we did last time. The thing that I want to do today, besides just say that I'm tired for 5 minutes, which is what I've done so far, is I want to figure out whether having the author, so you create a data set, you upload it. If you, the author, create a starter kernel, so we have like the automatic starter kernel, but if you don't have data in a CSV file, then it's not very helpful. So if you, the author, create a data set, like a little starter code thing, starter code, does that mean that more people then download your data set? That's my question. My intuition is yes, if you have starter code, people are more likely to use your data set, but I do not know that that is the case. So that's what we're investigating. And we are going to need some additional data sets read in. Yes, thank you for telling me about the committing. And let's call this sample code. Sample code helps, question mark. So we're reading in some files, except if you add ER at the end of CSV, it doesn't actually help. That doesn't seem to work. So we have these two files that have information on dataset sources, so who created what dataset, and I don't have anything about that. And then we also have kernel versions that tells you the author of the kernel. And we also have our combined code object. So we need to join across 3 tables now, is the thing that I had a problem with. And I was sitting at work trying to do this, and I have a talk on Monday, and I was putting together the slides, and I was trying to get like a chart to see if this was the case. Well, to do an analysis and then include a chart. I feel pretty strongly that if you create starter code, there will be more downloads of your data set. I don't know that that's the case. And I was sitting there trying to do the analysis, and I got to this 3-way join, and my brain just died. I just couldn't imagine databases anymore. So that was where I decided to call it and move that to later on today, because I had to do this as well. No, this is fun. I enjoy the live coding. Okay. All right. So I was I was traveling all this week, which is probably part of the reason why I'm just very tired. I'm also gonna be traveling next week and the week after and the week after, and it's gonna be a little bit of a slog for me. Okay, so we have datasets has kernel version ID, source dataset version ID. So this dataset sources is where we have the information about which dataset is used with which kernel, because that information is not in the tables relating to the kernels. Then we also have, but what this doesn't have that we do need is the author. We need the author information here. So we need the author of the kernel, we need the author of the dataset, and then if they match up in any row, we can add the information to the datasets column that the author has written at least one kernel on that dataset. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to join kernel versions to dataset sources first, and I'm going to get the kernel version ID, which I believe is the ID from kernel versions. And I'm going to use that to join this and also author user ID, which is the information on the kernel author, and then we already have the information on the author along with the dataset version ID. Okay. So sorry, I'm just talking through what I need because I want to do it correct. I want to do the thing that I'm trying to do. Okay, so we've got a lot of information in kernel versions that we don't need. The only thing we need is ID and author user ID. So I'm going to create a new markdown cell. So in kernel versions, Shed says hi. Hi, Shed. We're going to select, we just need a couple rows, columns, ID, and then we also have author user ID. So that's the other one we want. And then we actually probably want to mutate. No, no, I made it smaller. No, go back. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I was dragging. Why can't I move this? There we go. I was dragging, let me make sure it's in the middle. I was trying to set up my, all of my little windows that I have while I'm live coding, and I couldn't, and I started to like growl at the computer, not like you know, when you're like, why? Stop doing that, but at my mouse. So that's where I am right now. Okay, what was I looking at? So I had author ID, author user ID. So ID is actually kernel version ID. So I want to first mutate so that kernel version ID is ID, and then I want to select kernel version ID and author user ID because those are the only columns I want to inner join, and then inner join with dataset sources. So this will tell us for each kernel the author of that kernel, and then we'll get the author of that data set from the other object that we've already created, which I believe is called datasets combined. The installer says, hey everybody, what's happening tonight? We are messing with joining tables. I want to know if you have a data set and you've written sample code on it, if data sets with sample code written by the dataset creator are more likely to be downloaded. That's our eventual thing. And let's call this datasets, dataset sources author. That's probably too long for a sources. S-O-U-R-C-E-S. Probably too long for a variable name, but whatever. The answers live says, is this R? Yes, it is R. Especially for the sort of like table manipulation thing. Just the tidyverse is so nice. It's so nice. Let's make sure that worked. Kernel version ID, author user ID, source dataset ID. Okay, so the thing that we need to add here is the author of the dataset. Yes. So we've got the kernel version, and we've got the author of the kernel version. And then we've got the dataset version ID, source dataset version ID. So we need to get the author for source dataset version ID and join those two. So let's look at the head of datasets combined. Copy, copy, copy. There we go. My mousing skills are getting worse for some reason, which is frustrating. Let's just look at the structure of this really quick. Data source version ID, data source dataset version ID. So is source dataset version ID the same thing as data source version ID? Maybe it is. I think it is. Well, we can try. The problem is it's probably gonna like kind of work. Current dataset version ID. We don't want dataset version ID. We want data source dataset version ID. Oh, maybe we do it. Dataset version ID. Okay. And then here it's called current dataset version ID from combined datasets. Oh no, from datasets combined. And that's that column. And someone posted a high-scoring kernel for the Pet Finder competition. I wish people would not. Very demoralizing to the people at my meetup. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I guess, like, the charitable explanation is that people are trying to share knowledge and help folks out, and that's a good thing. But yes, I see how it could be frustrating that you're working along and then anybody can sort of fork and do better than you were doing. But I guess the real prize is your individual growth as a person. So forking somebody else's kernel is not necessarily going to help you with that, and that's my after-school special answer. I'm not super involved in competition sides of things, which is like, that's fine. I've got so much to do. Ryan said, they just averaged 3 public kernels together. They didn't contribute anything. That's kind of a pity. What was I doing? Sorry, I have to finish this. So I'm very motivated. So I want the author for the source dataset version ID. So I want to take from here. I think I erased it. I think it was in this cell. I had the creator user ID .x, and then it was data source version ID, source dataset version ID. I think it was dataset version ID. Current dataset version ID. Let's go with that. Okay, so we want to get those 2 columns from this this data frame. Wow. At least the sound quality is much better today. I listened back to some of the recording on Wednesday, and like it was fine. You could understand the words that I was saying, so that was good. But it was really like clipped and I found it fairly frustrating to listen to. Oh no. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to take this. We want to select these 2 columns. First, we probably want to rename them. So source dataset version ID. And I'm giving these the same name so I don't have to specify which is on the right and which is on the left to overlap them so that we can join. Because I am not that good at right and left at the best of times, and I'm pretty sure I do it wrong. So I think it's easier to change the names of the columns you want so they're the same in both things you're trying to do. And that was current dataset version ID. And I think these are pointing to the same field, and they are just foreign keys. Oop. I did that thing where you click and have multiple cursors. Has anyone ever actually used that? Have any of you guys ever actually wanted to do that, ever? Because I never have. And you know what? I might as well rename this really awful thing as well. Let's call this dataset creator ID. And it's .x because when I did an inner join between the two of them, there was one on each side, and I didn't say to join by them, so or I did specify what I wanted to join by, so columns that were duplicated got an x and a y suffix to distinguish them. So that's why that exists, and I'm just gonna tidy up a bit, and then we want to, we're getting there. We're making progress. It is really helping to sit here and say all of the things that I'm doing aloud, which is a little sad. And then we went to inner join with this, and let's call this test, because I don't think that this is going to work, actually. I think I've probably messed something up. Could not find function mutate. Oh, okay, because that's not how you spell mutate. M-U-T-A-T-E. All right, and let's look at the head of test. Okay, no, this is fine. So I was like, why isn't creator user ID X the same as author user ID? Oh, that's right. For one thing, I didn't actually select the column that I created and mutated and renamed. Jasvinder said, shouldn't you be selecting the new variables you renamed? Yes, thank you. I did do that wrong. Okay, so now, so it's not a test. So let's actually call this dataset sources authors. So we're just going to overwrite the one that we did previously. And actually, if I had done this slightly better, I could create these two things as one pipe. Let's call this dataset kernels author, because that's what that is. All right. Now, from here, we want to get a nap. No, we want to get all of the dataset versions where, okay, first of all, let's run this. And then it's going to take a second to join. I think it's better to do 2 inner joins on 2 smaller data sets than 1 big join across 3 data sets. Does that sound right? No, you can only join 2 data sets. Right? Can you join 3 data sets? Is that a thing? It seems like it would be very inefficient because you have like that sort of like comparison problem where when it's 2, it's still fairly slow, but when you have like 2 and then 2, you know, that one pops down, and that one pops down, and then that one goes. It seems like one of those things that would be like exponential. Jasvinder says 1 at a time. Yeah, that's got that one of those. That's got the sort of like tastes like the time complexity would be bad sort of things to it, you know. Patrick says, yes, we can join 3 data sets. Should we? Am I wrong about the time complexity? Is it actually like super efficient? I see how it could be if you had like a hash data structure where you have constant lookup time. But that wouldn't matter because you'd be doing things on columns. I don't know. Maybe it would be good in some situations, but this feels like a situation where it wouldn't be good because we just need a couple of them from each one anyway. All right, we are looking for a... Okay, first of all, let's look at datasets, kernels, authors to make sure that we have all the fields that we think we have. Step 1. Okay. Dataset creator ID and author or user ID. Where are they the same? So I want to take this dataset and then I want to filter and get only rows where dataset creator ID is exactly equivalent to, I did an extra tab in there I did not need, author user ID, and then I want to look at the head of that just to make sure I'd done it good. Author user ID, dataset creator ID, same Z's, fantastic. And then, okay. And then we've got this dataset ID. So I think it's dataset ID that we're going to use to, let's look at the structure of, was it datasets combined, I believe? Yeah, it was. Oh, of course it helps if you don't hit tab and then keep typing. All right, and then dataset ID is there. Okay, so we want to create a list of datasets, or a vector of datasets that have kernels by their authors on them. Yeah? And then go through and add to the datasets combined a Boolean, which is true if that name is on that list. Okay, so from here we want to select capital T dataset ID, and then we only need one of each, so let's call unique. Okay, so this should get us just like a very long vector. I don't know why I printed it out. And let's call this datasets with samples. Sample code, that's what's in there. Okay. And then I remember Jaswinder said something last week about when we were doing our joining, something as character vector, I believe. I don't remember where this was, but I remember that we talked about it. Oh, it was in the questions bit. Okay, now I'm in the center. String detect. Okay, so I think we ended up not using, I don't know if you can hear him, he's digging a little. What is he up to in there? Sorry, that's Gustav, my hedgehog. Pull, Jaswinder says. Yes, 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 that is the thing I want. So I don't want just the column. I want, where was I? Here. Unique and then pull. So we take just the, okay, so this should be, at this point, a vector and not a column of a data frame. Yeah. Thank you. That was very helpful. Okay. So now we have a vector of datasets that creators wrote kernels on. Excellent. Okay, and let's add this to our little pre-processing cell. You go in there. And then let's hide the output. Oh, that's right. I forgot. There we can. There's a little collapsey, little arrows to the side in the new editor. If you guys have gotten the new editor, so you can collapse the output instead of having to remember exactly where you need to double click, which I always forget. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to look at datasets combined. And we want a new column, and let's call it sample code, where we want to see if dataset ID is in datasets with sample. Actually, let's just take the head of datasets combined and then try that and see if that works. Okay, and it's at the end. False, false, true, excellent, false, false. Okay, so we have at least one that is true, and let's go and double check because I'm not 100% sure of some of these things. So the title is 101 Innovations Research Tools Survey. Okay, so we want to see if this dataset creator, Bianca Kramer, also wrote a kernel on her dataset. Little sanity check, and I think, yeah, okay, excellent, she did. Fantastic. I'm assuming Bianca's a she. That seems reasonable. Excellent. We did it. It only took half an hour. In my defense, I'm very tired. Also, in my defense, it's never easy. Like, you get, well, at least I've gotten more acquainted with this particular data set, but it's just always a little bit difficult. Okay, so we have data sets combined, and we have add information about whether a data set has sample code. Ooh. Excellent. All right, let's get rid of all of these little mucking about cells we had there at the bottom. And then let's copy this wholesale and just make a nice little graph. Nope, you go away. Goodbye. New code cell below. Actually, let's do a couple so I'm in the middle of the screen and not down there where my face is. All right, and so we want to do, still data sets combined, but instead of question, we want fill to be and x to be sample code. So this is log of total downloads, which let's do a t-test. You want to hear something embarrassing? I have forgotten the syntax to do a t-test in R. I remember it's very easy. I think it's t.test, but I don't remember exactly what the y by x, y is numeric, x is binary. Okay. All right, so t.test where y numeric binary. Okay. And then the numeric was total downloads. And t-tests, for those of you who, it's been a while since you've done statistics, or maybe you've never done statistics, is a measure of whether two samples are drawn from populations with the same mean or not. That's not actually what it's a measure of. It's a measure of whether, if two samples are drawn from a population with the same mean, the likelihood that they would be as different as they were in your observed samples by chance. It's a measure of statistical significance. First of all, let's use the right data set, huh? Data sets, tab. Combined, excellent. And then the thing that we are looking at, we called sample code. Kind of marginal, especially given that we have 15,000 samples and we are running quite a few. We are running we're running quite a few tests of significance. So if we do bond-phoneme correction, this probably isn't. I don't know if you guys can hear the dog, but it seems very unhappy. So it's probably not significant, but there's a little bit of a difference. It looks like there's more variation in, there's a little bit of a wider spread in data sets where someone has not done a thing. Jer says, what's the difference between a t-test and an ANOVA test? A t-test does two things, and an ANOVA test does more than two things. So it looks at interactions. It is, I want to say an ANOVA test is 4 t-tests with bond-phoneme correction. Does that sound right? Daniel says hi. Hi. Was that the dog sounded like an alien? Yeah, sorry about that. I think I know what dog it was too. I think it's that border collie that's a needs a job. That's how I would describe this border collie. It's a perfectly nice dog. What if we do like a different plot? What if we do like a density plot? That might be a little bit more interesting. Okay, so there is, and if we look at this, so this is number of downloads. So on average, data sets with sample code are downloaded 1,100 times, and data sets without sample code are downloaded 872 times, realizing, of course, that this is an extremely skewed data distribution and that these are not normally distributed. Oh, does that mean I can't use a t-test? I think that means I can't use a t-test. I think that means I need to... All right. T-test alternative skewed distribution. I'm pretty sure t-tests use, I'm pretty sure t-tests rely on a normally distributed sample. Highly skewed, exponential, and I think ours is probably exponential. About participation, different sizes, and we'll compare the mean. I've been using 2 sample t-tests, but they are not normally distributed. Does not matter for really large samples. They suggested a log transform before using the t-test. I wouldn't call exponential particularly highly skewed. It is log. Its log is distinctly left skewed, for example, and its moment skewness is only 2. Using t-tests with exponential data and n near 500 is fine. Our n is much bigger than 500. Numerator of the test statistics should be fine. This is essentially symmetric, as can be seen by flipping it on its mean. So it's he's looking at some symmetry. Symmetry is the word I'm looking for. Ryan says, take the log and it'll be close to normal. Yeah, that's what, so the plot has the log, and even in the plot, it looks like, I can't quite tell if the notches are overlapping at all. Shed said, did you look at the histogram? I have not done a histogram for this. I suppose I could. Let's do that real quick. I like histograms. And I believe it, first of all, it's not going to have the notch argument. Geom, I think it's hist, but it might be histogram. I can never remember. Histogram, okay. Again, with the continuing to type. Blah, blah, blah. Must not be used with Y aesthetic. That's right. Helpful. So we can see that definitely more more data sets don't have sample code than do have sample code. All right. Marlon says, hi, Rachel. I thought the Wilcoxon test was one performed to know if 2 samples were drawn from the same population. Maybe I'm wrong. So Wilcox is non-parametric. Yeah, assigned rank text non-parametric. So they should do relatively the same thing, except one assumes certain qualities of the population parameter and the other one doesn't. So we could use Wilcox test. Chi, or maybe Chai. No, Chi says, when should I use the z-test? I don't know. Ryan says, what has over 90,000 downloads? There's a soccer data set that I know is super duper popular. One sample simply shifted relative to the other. That I think is probably true. Sorry. I know I'm a little bit all over the place right now. I know there's a soccer data set that's super popular. Kaggle.com soccer. Yeah, the European Soccer Database by Hugo has been downloaded 69,000 times. So that's probably not the... Yeah, that's definitely one of the more highly downloaded data sets on Kaggle. I happen to know off the top of my head. So I think it's actually... Nope, yeah, there's definitely something there, huh? Oh, it's probably an organization data set. It might be Titanic? I could 100% answer this by looking at the data set. But no, I'm not. I don't know why I'm not. Well, I don't know. There are only 54,000 entries. Well, I guess if half of people who enter download the data set. Mine says, maybe you could drop the outliers like that and it would let you view the distribution better. It's true. I think it is worthwhile to do a signed rank test, which Moreland brought up. Shed says outlier. Yeah, but so this is for a an open science symposium, and I think it is. So usually I would say, yes, let's get rid of the outliers. But I think it is, this is one of those cases where actually the outliers are really interesting and useful and important, and people would like to be an outlier. So it's like, why does something go viral? Do things that go viral have certain qualities? So I'm inclined not to remove outliers, just because I think that including them in our model is more true to life. No, that's just a judgment call. Yeah, let's set up that signed rank, and I think it's, yeah. I don't remember the rest of the syntax. Help me, R. First off, you gotta put the question mark in front. Blah, 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 blah. X is numeric vector of data values. Y is an optional numeric vector of data values, as with X non-finite will be omitted. Can I see an example? Okay. Oh, this is the paired signed rank, isn't it? Okay, so one sample. Paired is false. We don't want something paired because we don't have the same data set with and without. We don't have the same data sets with and without samples. Graphics. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Y minus X alternative less. The same. So this is a paired test. No, I don't think we can use Wilcox, because that would be looking at the rank before two related samples. Yeah. Is there, oh wait, there's another thing that's called Wilcox though, right? two related samples because it's not matched. Wilcox single measure. Wow. Sorry, guys. I'm pretty sure modern data analysis, methods of central tendency. Ryan says Box Cox. Isn't Box Cox a measure of more normality? We're all just like dusting out our physics textbooks. It's a transformation to, oh, sorry, you mean to transform it so that it's a normal distribution so that we can use t-test. I think log should be pretty okay though, because if we look at, so this is on, scroll. So this is on a log scale and it doesn't look super duper skewed to me. Just looking at sort of where the IQR stands. So I suppose we could just quickly, where's my t-test? Did I get rid of my t-test? I think I got rid of my t-test. Was it t.test? Yeah. And then it was the numeric, which was datasets combined. And then it was the thing that we were looking for, which was total downloads, I believe. And then we were looking at datasets combined, and then has sample. It would be at the end because it's in the sample code. And then, but we wanted the log of this. Error data are essentially constant, missing value or true false found. And then it just has like a bunch of them with the log value. Interesting. That seems wrong, huh? All right, maybe it just doesn't like me doing it in the log downloads. Maybe it just doesn't like me doing it actually as part of the calculation. I don't know why I'm making sounds, I'm sorry. Missing value or true false needed, data essentially constant. Okay. Ryan says you have negative infinity in there somewhere. All right, so datasets combined, mutate, log, sorry. Log downloads. Just Winter says, are there NAs? Last value is infinity. Let's actually try filter. Total downloads. Bang is NA. So I want downloads. I want only rows where the number of downloads is an NA. And from there, I want to take select total downloads and sample code. And let's call this, and then mutate, nope. Mutate, there we go. Log downloads equals the log of total downloads. Yeah. And then select log downloads and sample code. And then from there, t-test dot log downloads by dot sample code. I probably didn't need the select in there, but whatever. Is NA applied to non-lister vector of type language must use vector, not an object of class matrix? Okay, so let's actually remove maybe 0 downloads. Okay. So we're getting an error message about is NA, which is not something we're actually calling. The error is happening somewhere. Are we good up to here? Yes. That's a number. Okay. And that's that should work. So it's so it is a Boolean, but in R, false is 0 and true is 1, and you can always treat the more specialized class of Boolean as the more general class of numeric. So you shouldn't need to convert from Boolean ever. That was numeric. Let's create a new data set here. Maybe it's because of me subsetting inside the pipe and it's upset about that. So let's actually call this a new data set and call this log downloads. It does sound like we're downloading a log. You wouldn't download a log. And then let's try this. Hey. All right. So it's doing Welch's 2 till t-test. And if we look at the log difference, there is a pretty robust difference. And Jer says, does log downloads contain any NA values? Potentially. Oh, that's a loud bird. I don't know if you guys heard the bird. Yeah. True difference in so it looks like it's a small difference is the thing. But even with Bonferroni correction, there is a difference here. So if you're looking at the log number of downloads, having sample code or not does affect, oh my gosh, having sample code or not does affect the thing. Jer says, looks like statistical significance to me. Yeah, I mean, this is in service of me telling people to use sample code, which I think is good. And actually what I'm going to do here instead of that is density. Oh, sorry, geom density. Because I think this is a nice little density, 2D, yes please. Oh, nope, sorry, not 2D. I lied, I want 1D. There we go. Except in fill, instead of fill, let's do color, and let's also do the log here as well. So this will be my sort of like little visualization that shows the thing that the statistical test shows, which is, I mean, like a little bit of a difference, not that big of a difference. And I actually do want the legend here. There we go. So you can see there's like slightly more downloads of things that have sample code. So if you're releasing data, you should include sample code. And you can see there's actually a little bit of a bimodal distribution here. And I'm guessing that the lower mode is people who upload their data set, upload their analysis, make it publicly available, and that's just sort of their like, here it is. And then the upper bump here is people who actually write sample code. I'll zoom out so you can see a little bit. And the upper bump here is people who actually write like starter code to get people going, and that they're more, more effective in getting people to download the code, download the data set. But that would be my professional guess as somebody who knows about this data. Yeah. Okay. So the answer is yeah, kind of. Depending on the test you use, depending on the transforms you use. It doesn't seem to be a very big difference regardless. So let me commit this real quick and return to the editor. I'll make it public so you guys can check it out if you want. And call it a day because I'm dying, Squirtle. I'm so tired. And also it's almost 5 and I need to make food and then sleep in that order. Thanks for joining me today, guys. We should be back on Wednesday. Next week, we'll be continuing with the context vectors paper that we've been reading, which is really good. I'm enjoying it so far. I like it a lot more than the GPT-2 paper. Personally, my stance on it. And don't forget to sign up for CareerCon if you're not already and it's something that you're interested in. There's going to be a lot of good talks from people who are famous and cool. I'm giving a talk with Siraj, who also does a lot of YouTube stuff about sort of building your presence online, if that's something you're interested in. And I'm also doing a little workshop every morning, and we're going to build and deploy APIs for machine learning models, and that will be in Python. I know some of you will be very excited to hear, just because I didn't think I could do a really good job of both Python and R at the same time. So then that's sort of like the, last step. You've built your model and you're ready to do the putting of it into production, and probably you're going to be working with a software engineer to do that. But now you can hand them something other than a Jupyter notebook and they won't be grouchy. You guys all have a good weekend, and I will see you on Wednesday. And I will have just gotten back from somewhere, so I will still be very tired. But I will talk to you guys then. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm really liking this paper, like I mentioned. So, see you later. Bye.